Hello everyone, welcome to the Comic Gaming Movie Show. My name's Deshaun, and today I'm here to give you my thoughts on the first episode of Penny Dreadful City of Angels. Now, Penny Dreadful is a show that was, if you've been following my channel enough, I've had to have reviewed it before. It ended in around, I believe, 2015, but I know it ended a few years back. It had 3 seasons. It was a very great show. I thought it was a very interesting, very fun show. Dark, but not dark and gritty. It had gritty aspects to it, but it was more of this just gothic feel to it. It took place in Victorian England. It starred Eva Green and a cast of characters from mythology, from literature and mythological, proportions. It had the Wolfman, Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monsters, Dorian Gray, and eventually it even introduced Dracula. And there was many aspects of the show that was like leaning towards showing more things. And it was a very interesting show with very dark themes in it. Eva Green was great in it, even though there was this weird thing where she gets, she's a psychic, but when she gets possessed, she's a psychic and she can, commune with, spirits and whatnot, but when she does, the only way she can get out of that state is to have sex. So it's there's this weird thing going on, which I've always made the joke that Eva Green just always finds a way to have a sex scene or get naked somehow. The only time she doesn't is when it's in a PG-13 movie like that Miss Pilgrim's, I can't remember, was it Miss Pilgrim's, Place for Peculiar Children? Other than that, that was because that was PG-13. Every time I've seen her in something, she's either having a sex scene or getting naked. So, but that show started the joke for me. But otherwise than that, there were very interesting things. The themes, the time period, the style. Penny Dreadful was very unique, and I had a lot of fun watching it. It was uncomfortable at times. It was dark at times. It was sad. It even had a tragic ending. Now, as many people, if you watch Penny Dreadful, as I would assume you've watched Penny Dreadful if you're watching this review, you know that show technically got canceled. Now, it got canceled late enough for the guy who made it to be able to wrap it up, to be able to write it up so it's not just like a cliffhanger or anything like that, to wrap it up, to just be able to write it in a way where it has an ending. But to me personally, I thought the last season of Penny Dreadful was really good all the way up to the ending, which was very, very rushed. And it was very apparent in the last season that this guy really had more ideas that he wanted to push it further, but Showtime had already put the axe on this show, so it was basically just wrap it up, wrap it up, boy, wrap it up, guys, we're going home, and he just did it the best he could. In the end, the way, like I said, the way it ended just felt like it was just felt like there was more on that bone, and I feel like he set up more plates, and there was more stuff to be done that never got to go to full it, we never got to realize completely to its fullest because he was in a rush. There's this whole thing with Dracula and the devil. Dracula and the devil in this world are brothers, and there's a whole fucking thing. So in that world, Dracula's a fallen angel. So like I said, there's an entire thing that really, really just got left on the cutting room floor because it got canceled. So when Penny Dreadful ended, it was one of those shows where I was like, oh man, I wish I could get renewed. Then I hear about this Penny Dreadful City of Angels. And at first I didn't pay it any mind. I heard about it years ago, like a year or two ago. I heard about this, but I didn't pay it any mind because I was just like, oh, whatever. I don't know. Maybe this is just some bullshit thing he's doing. But the same guy's coming back, and the same guy came back to work on this. So all of that was just to tell you that this is, I don't know how I feel about the show quite yet, but it is gearing up to be a really good sequel series to Penny Dreadful. First of all, this takes place in 1938, Los Angeles, California. And in 1938, America hadn't yet joined the World War. We hadn't yet joined. Pearl Harbor hadn't yet happened. So this is a very interesting time period. This is a time period where a lot of people were conflicted of if America should even join the war. In fact, this is a time period where a lot of foreigners from Germany were coming over and just pretty much saying, don't worry about the war. It doesn't have anything to do with you guys. And it was a whole bunch, it was a very delicate situation. And you follow this police officer named Tiago Vega. Tiago Vega, who's he's Latino, he's Mexican, and obviously, tensions between people who come over across the border and from Mexico and things of that nature, or any Latin descent, is always kind of a hot topic even now today. But it was even a hot topic back then. And he's the first Mexican detective in his area, in the city of Los Angeles. At least in this world, he's the first Mexican detective in the city of Los Angeles. And when you follow Diego, that kind of builds like before we even get into the supernatural aspects of it, which there are supernatural aspects of it. Diego this is simply a story about a man stuck between two worlds with Diego. And they played this story before, obviously. They played the story with black cops and different cops of different races. Or, of the idea of, with your race or your job. And that's one of the aspects of it that he's constantly caught in, that it seems like, there's only one episode, but it obviously seems like that's going to be one of the big points of the entire series, is him constantly having to prove to the cops that he belongs here, because everyone knows how it is when you're the first of any race to get into something. You gotta prove you belong there. He's basically Jackie Robinson in the police precinct. He's gotta prove he belongs there, and it's and he's got a whole bunch of shit dealing with. Now he has his allies and his friend. He has his partner, who seems to be pretty cool with him, though his partner is kind of he's one of the older cops, who's kind of like, I don't know, kid. He's kind of got that kind of partner with him. But Diego really just has his heart in the right place. But the problem is, like I said, he's caught between two worlds. And in his mind, he's like, I want to be there for my people, but I'm a police officer, and at the end of the day, I have to do what I have to do. And it doesn't make any matters worse that his first day on the job, actually his day before the job, because his first day was supposed to be another day, but they called him up to come in early for this case where they found the bodies of 3 rich white people cut up in Santa Muerta style, with the way they got the Day of the Dead stuff all over them, and in Spanish, and it's written in Spanish. You took my heart, so I took your heart underneath a bridge. And it's like, it doesn't make matters worse then. So now, once again, he's already stuck in a hard place because he doesn't want to go, convicting Mexicans, because then he's going to look like a traitor to his own people. It's a very interesting position he's in, and I can already tell it makes for him to have a complex, complicated, story arc, especially what happens in the first episode. What happens by the end of the first episode makes you kind of go, this dude is going to have the toughest time trying to juggle these things. He's already having a tough time trying to juggle both of these worlds, but that's just the front shit. So that's up front. Up front, you got a character who's of a Mexican descent, first Mexican detective, dealing with trying to be a cop and trying to be good to his people, while simultaneously trying to juggle these two things, and while both sides of him, the cops and his own people, both call him a traitor, both say you're playing this side or this side, and he's not trying to choose side, he's trying to do the right thing, but it's not that easy, as he's finding out. And then on top of that, you got this whole thing, supernatural thing going in the background between these two sisters. Now, the one sister played, main sister is dressed in black. She seems to think humanity, and they're almost having this thing where Santa Muerta, the actual being Santa Muerta, is in this show, and actually Diego's mom, communes with her and talks to her, and Santa Muerta is like, she's just tired of, and there's this interesting aspect to it that she's tired of even caring about people. She just shows up to ferry people's souls and their bodies to the afterlife. That's it. And she's like, and her sister is obsessed with showing how bad men can be. Sort of I will say her sister's ideas are very similar to that of, Ares from Wonder Woman. How she's she's like, people are bad, all it takes is a push, all it takes is a suggestion, and she's like, people will do wrong things, people are bad, all you gotta do is tell them it's okay to do it. And that's our sister's whole thing, is to prove that humanity isn't worth saving. But I suppose to prove that they're not worth ferrying to heaven or wherever, worth ferrying to the afterlife. And so they got this whole supernatural thing going on. Santa Marta only shows up twice to ferry Diego's father to the afterlife in the first scene and to talk to his mother. But other than that, you see her sister all over the place. And she can disguise herself as people. She can make fucking children. She can make creatures that are like real live beings. She can do all kinds of things. Fun Easter egg, or I don't even know if it's an Easter egg. The man who played Frankenstein's monsters in the original Penny Dreadful returns in this as a Nazi sympathizer slash dentist who, or I don't know if he's a dentist or a doctor who kind of like is trying to tell America not to get involved in the war. That doesn't matter, and they do this funny thing where where they kind of play up the idea that these foreigners come over here and make their lives, and it's like, yeah, because his wife is like, she's an American and he's obviously well off, and their kids are happy, but she's miserable as fuck. I'm just like, fucking course. But like I said, the show's dealing with a lot of things, a lot of topics, while the supernatural thing is in the background. This show, because in the original Penny Dreadful, I believe the supernatural stuff was pretty upfront. Like, you knew something weird was fucking going on. Like, by the time Dorian Gray shows up, like, it'd already been a bunch of weird things that happened. On this one, like I say, these are deities. Like, these are gods. So, I'm going to be interested to see how they push it further, if they introduce more gods or more creatures, because that was the fun bit to me about Penny Dreadful, is these interpretations of these beings interacting with each other. Like that's seeing these people interact with each other. By the third season, when it turns out the Wolfman was there, it was all kinds of fun. I give Penny Dreadful so far, I give it a solid 8. I'm enjoying myself. I enjoyed that episode. It flew by. It's intriguing. The main character has conflicts. You still don't know what's going on. You think you know what's going on. There's a lot of topics at hand. There's German spies trying to infiltrate America at a precious time when America didn't know where to make up its mind. There's this whole thing with these gods in the background. I give this a solid 8. Penny Dreadful, City of Angels has a different vibe, and it does have a different vibe. I will say, it's at its core, it's Penny Dreadful, but the coding is different. It's almost like how do I say this? It's like the difference between eating an M&M with a nut with the M&M with the nuts and M&M. They're still an M&M. It's still M&M. It's produced by M&M, same M&M. It tastes like an M&M, but it's just something different about it. They do this thing where, this is the last thing I'm gonna say. They use lighting because it's Los Angeles. Like in the original Penny Dreadful, it was always dark and dreary, and like even when the sun was up, it was still like covered up by something, like a tree or something. It was always like the sun was trying to get through something, and it was dark and dreary. And it was almost like the world that the mystery and the demons and all these crazy things in this world were like on their surface in Victoria, England. While in Los Angeles, the sun is always bright. Everyone's always smiling and wearing very comfortable clothes and dancing and out. It's almost like and I'm sure he maybe did this on purpose, like this, it's all artificial and it's all not real, and the darkness underneath is what's actually there. That's where the Penny Dreadfulness comes in, is when you look past the sunshine, you look past the suits, and you see the darkness underneath. You see the darkness underneath. It's like the darkness was just covered up. It's like it never left. It was just covered up. It was just painted over. It's like you just painted over a haunted house with a new coat of paint. It's like it's still a haunted house with demons in it. And that's what Los Angeles is, the way this world kind of looks to me, is like it's just painted over. So it is Penny Dreadful at its core. It's just, like I said, it's painted over with this California thing. And obviously they, timed up from Victoria in England. But thank you guys for joining me at Comic Game Movie Show. Please remember to like and subscribe. And what did you think of Penny Dreadful City of Angels? Do you think it's as good as the original Penny Dreadful? I don't think so yet, but it's got a lot of room to improve. Hopefully Showtime keeps letting me watch it, because I think I only have like a something subscription to it. So thank you guys for joining the Comic Game Movie Show. Please remember to like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.